Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Franchising 360 show. I am Tim Parmeter, and as always, alongside Danielle Wright.
That's me.
Danielle and I are going to take you on this magical journey about franchise ownership. We're going to take a 360-degree view of this fantastic industry. We're going to get you properly educated on all the things you need to know to determine if you should own a franchise, and then if so, which is the absolute best one for you. We're going to also give you some tips on how to succeed and grow your franchise once you are an owner, and also how to take an existing business and turn it into a franchise that, who knows, may become part of the Friday Franchise Fun Fact one day. Yes, that is actually possible. So we got a lot to talk about today, and I think we touch on a lot of things in franchising, but there's kind of one thing we haven't really talked much about with this.
Right. Well, it's kind of self-serving, too, I think.
A little bit, but if we're going to educate people, there's
Take a 360-degree view.
Understanding ways in which one can get properly educated.
Yes. Business ownership.
Yes.
Not doing it alone. So the subject of today is...
Yes, we're going to help you understand how to get that help, where to go for it, where not to go, what to listen to, what not to listen to, because there's a lot of, like in any industry, there's a lot of noise.
There's a lot of noise
out there.
That's sticking to the words of the cool kids use today. Noise, lots of noise.
I'm hip.
Yeah, Yep.
I have a hip.
That's all I got.
It's 6 months away from needing replaced at this point. But
the purpose is to find someone to help you. Don't do it alone, right? We talk about franchising, like going into business for yourself, not by yourself, but how do I find that business to go into? Like, it's nice to have someone to go along on the journey. So
yes. And fortunately,
that's what Francoach does. Fortunately,
you have us and our whole team, but also 25, 26 years of combined industry experience.
Yes.
With this as well. So, which maybe if we back up for a second, just I'm sure we've done this at some point in the past. Perhaps there's somebody watching.
We're not really great at it.
That hasn't, for reasons that defy logic, they haven't seen every episode multiple times.
Right.
How did you get into franchising?
Oh, a leap and a prayer. Like a lot of people get into business ownership, I didn't have a job. So let's date ourselves and think recession, think housing crisis. I was in commercial real estate for a really long time, and obviously if no one's buying homes or building homes, there's not going to be a need for the providers of stuff to build those homes. And so I didn't have a job. I didn't have a job for like a year, and I had a 7-year-old and an infant, and a job popped up in Checkers and Rallies. For anyone that doesn't know that, go look at it. It's the first double drive-through, so Chick-fil-A didn't come up with it. Checkers and Rallies did. And I got a job and worked my way into franchise recruitment. And then I've stayed in that. It's a fancy way of saying franchise sales. And I've stayed in that industry ever since. So
yeah, and almost everyone on our Franchising 101 podcast, when we have guests from the industry, always start with that of like, how did you get into this industry? And it's almost always some random, like, I didn't know anything about it. I was just applying for a job. This happened, whatever. And then years, sometimes decades later, like people don't get out.
Well, and to the point that we're going to talk about today is like having support to find that franchise. Someone reached out to you, right? That's how you got into franchising. Tell us your story.
Oh, no, the same as most people. It was my last job was ended in spectacular fashion due to no fault of my own. The office I was working in.
They all say that.
It just really wasn't my fault. And so many things have been, but there was some fraud that was being perpetrated in the office by the two people that were in charge of it, and the rest of us were left unemployed. And it was a transition period of my life, and I just happened to have somebody who was like, oh, I can kind of teach you how to do this franchise consulting thing. I'm like, I didn't know what that was. I knew I could talk to people on the phone, and from that standpoint. So it was literally like, I have nothing at all to lose, and fortunately, it's worked out okay.
So for the viewers, you have Francoach. We have 10 franchise consultants, coaches helping people find businesses, and a lot of those coaches have done what I've done, franchise recruitment for a franchisor, and a lot of them have come over onto this side, the dark side as we like to call it, to help other people kind of find what is the perfect franchise. So seems to be doing well for you.
So far, so good. But we cannot, like, people
I was trying.
People are
really
on the
trying
edge
to
of
make
their
it past
chair.
it.
Man.
I know. The only reason why they turn into the first segment of the Franchising 360 show.
Friday franchise fun fact with Danielle.
That's me.
What you got?
Are you ready?
Yes.
We've had a really good series of fun facts. I hope this one really hits for the viewers, okay? Are we ready for it? Yep.
Yes.
Yes, okay. 7-Eleven, first franchised in the 1940s.
Okay.
What were the hours of operation?
Well, 24/7.
Wrong! Fun fact, they were open from 7 a.m. to 11 p.m., which was revolutionary in the 40s.
Like 7
then-
a.m. to 11 p.m.?
Yep, that was
Okay.
it. 7-Eleven.
Then that's really why they're named?
7-Eleven, that's why they're named that. Later, a location, where are we filming today?
Dallas.
We're in Dallas
Okay.
at the Biz TV studios. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Franchise owner in Texas, stayed open 24 hours
What a
for
rebel.
football season. And then the system decided to use the 24 hours of the 7-Eleven.
Okay. Excellent fun
I
facts.
know. Nobody was going to space. It didn't have anything to do with
I
food. Here we
did
are.
not know
We're
that.
rebels.
And then, and again, you never tell me what these are ahead of time.
No.
So I'm like, but I feel kind of dumb that I didn't realize or didn't think 7
7
to
to
11.
11.
So
Yep.
there you go, folks.
I will gladly take any free Slurpee 7-Eleven wants to send our way. There we go.
They got great ice.
They do.
So-
Heavens.
We'll get into the whole ice debate maybe another time, but we're going to come back and kind of share some ways in which we can help you find out if this is for you to own a franchise. And that is going to be on the Franchising 360 show right after this. We are back on the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright. Danielle,
Tim.
I think we are all still just like head spinning a little bit from the fun fact. And but we have got a lot of other kind of, I don't know how fun they're going to be, but facts of how people can find assistance, understand like how to weed through all the noise out there when they're trying to consider whether or not they should own a franchise and then which one.
Well, you don't buy any big purchase without having some support, right? Did you buy your house by yourself?
No, you told me yes or no.
No, but you had a realtor, someone that helped negotiate the purchase price, like help you find the right home for you, right? Did you have someone help you buy your car? You didn't just drive down and say, that's the one I want, right?
I kind of did.
Oh, you were an anomaly. Enough. I know who I'm asking now.
Right,
like,
because
enough.
you're the person that's had however many different, like you never get the same brand twice, and I just find the one and I get like 2 or 3 iterations of it and then I get bored. So it's like it
Okay.
lasts me a decade. Yours will last you like a couple years.
But when it comes to buying a franchise business, you're a consultant.
correct.
Like
Yes.
you don't want to just go and let me Google or chat GPT.
It's I don't know anything about this. How do I get educated to learn about the car, the house, the what? Like you don't buy the house without going in and
And you haven't done research, right?
Seeing
Like
it,
how
right.
often do we get on Zillow? I mean, come on.
yes.
Every adult is like, let me scroll the Zillow to see what's available or what's going on. Like you generally have to have someone go sidecar with you is what
Right.
we call it. Like let me ride next to you on this journey. And now there are franchise consultants, and I don't know that people realize that that's a thing.
No, and you're right, because it is a thing when which is what we are doing at Francoach, we'll get people on the phone like, oh my gosh, I didn't know there were like, we all know there's a realtor, right?
Right.
To help us find that. Oh my gosh, I didn't know there was somebody that could guide me through this whole process. And you're
Right.
like, yeah, that's us.
And most of the time, or all of the time, it's a free
Correct,
service, right?
correct.
So you just have to find that person. But on my side of the coin, we tell people like you're gonna date them. You've got to find the right person that understands who you are, what you're looking to accomplish, really how much, like previous episodes we've talked about how do you fund it, but how much money do you really need in the bank to do those things? And sometimes having a franchise consultant help you through that kind of, hey, sets you up for success, because you don't want to sit there and call a franchisor. I've worked for 22 of them. I don't. Yeah, you're interested in owning it. Great. Like, do you know what it takes to even be like? There's an approval process. There's a qualification process, and so franchise brands like working with consultants for a host of reasons. But as a consumer looking to buy a business, whether there's a business broker that you want to use to buy an existing business, like there's just like tons of ways to have someone help you. So how do people generally find a consultant?
Oh my gosh, there's any number of different ways that we ultimately get connected. And there's I think majority of time it's people that trying to just stick their toe in the water on this, right? There's something that they're not particularly happy about.
I drove around the Chick-fil-A line and sat in it for an hour, and there were 2 drive-thrus, and I'm paying $25. How do I get that?
Like I wouldn't mind.
I want that.
We talked about how we both got into this industry, like something bad in a previous job,
Yes.
right? And something's going on in their life that's not ideal.
Okay.
And so, man, maybe I could do something on my own. I don't know how to start anything, maybe a franchise. But there's a lot of kind of fear of the unknown with it, right? And so I think it's just for us, it's being that, like I always tell people, like we don't sell anything, right? Like I'm the worst salesperson on the planet. I can't ask for money. I'm terrible at that.
Okay, so guess what?
Right. So, but I can educate people. I can teach and coach them that, right? And I think it's just understanding the most basic thing in all of this is that there is not, absolutely positively not, a best franchise. There's not a best industry, hottest this, hottest that, and there's a lot of noise out there about that, right? Oh, own this franchise if you want to make this amount of money, or this is a top thing going. Well, but it may be a terrible fit for somebody, and that it is the most individualized and personalized process out there.
Right, because I may want to own a 7-Eleven, sounds great, but if they're open 24 hours, like,
I'm
out.
I'm out, right? Or have fun with the inventory in that
Okay.
7-Eleven, right? And so, so I think it's just understanding for us is letting people kind of like let their guard down to the fact of it's literally a blank slate going through this, right? And we can talk more about experience and industry in particular, or I love going to this place, right? Or I've got a dog, so therefore I need to own a pet franchise. Maybe. What if you realize you love the dog, but you can't stand the people that bring them, right?
Or you only like your dog and you don't like other dogs.
Correct.
It's like children. I like mine sometimes.
Right.
I may like other people's more.
Right. And so it's just kind of understanding that kind of for our standpoint at Francoach, it is really and truly like we're just here to try to help you figure out if you should first and get that proper education, get the noise out, get all the kind of and I think the older the candidate is that we're working with, the more just kind of head trash they have from years of corporate.
Because that's something for us to talk about too. Like, you're not just corporate, but
Right.
there's a lot of noise in and around the franchise industry itself. That's not positive.
Correct. There's a little stigma with that, and again, I always like to kind of embrace the negative and where the fears are, because if we don't get past that, we're not going to get to all the other stuff. So the fears, some of the negative things, that is going to be next here on the Franchising 360 show. Welcome back to the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter with Danielle Wright. Danielle,
Tim.
we are talking about different ways for people to kind of get the assistance and guidance and education that they need looking at franchises. You've been on the franchisor side for a long time. Do you see a difference in the candidates when they come just straight to your brand versus when maybe they have some good kind of coaching and consulting?
Yeah, the direct answer is yes. But I think for a reminder, a franchise, you're not just buying a franchise. Like, you have to be awarded.
Right.
And the franchisor is very particular about who they want in the mix. You don't want to mess up the world with one bad franchise owner, because it literally, one bad owner can take the whole entire system down completely. So a franchisor is really looking for that right fit. As much as Francoach is helping that person find the potential right fit of an owner, the franchisor is equally looking for the right fit. So we find that the approval rating of franchisees that come from consultants is higher, just because they've learned a lot about franchising as a unit, but now they're learning about a brand specificity when they get to us.
Yeah, and so there's a lot in our process that we take people through to even understand which brands to show them, and people oftentimes, almost always, come in with some sort of preconceived notion. I've always done this, therefore that's what my franchise should be.
Right, because you're job head.
Correct.
Like,
I've got a passion for this, therefore that's my franchise. And so, yes, sometimes, but more times than not, it is wildly different, right? And then I always kind of use the example of just for whatever reason, like painting, right? There might be a dozen franchises that paint,
yes.
right? Like, so you're like, how different can they really be behind the scenes? We paint. What do you do? Well, we paint inside. We paint outside, right? We paint. They can be wildly different behind the scenes and what they're all about. And so for us, knowing the difference between painting franchise number 1, 2, and 3, to know, hey, I think painting for all these other reasons might be a good fit for you, Danielle, but I think it's this one, not these other two, because some things about behind the scenes, the leadership, the brand, the culture, all of those things.
So how are you as a franchise consultant, if I'm working with a franchise consultant, how much time do you spend understanding a brand? Because I can tell you from the franchisor space, I don't want you as a consultant doing my job.
Right.
Like, my job is to teach them
Correct.
about the franchise
Yeah.
entity and the support and what comes as an owner and so forth and so on.
Right. And it should never be my job to sell your franchise. That's your job. It should be my job to know enough about your brand and know enough about Bob, our client, to be able to go,
Thanks, Bob.
You two should date, right? From that standpoint. And you mentioned early on, like, there's no fee for our service, right? So we're like recruiters. We get compensated on the back end by the franchisors. So,
but if I don't buy anything, you don't make any money.
no, but if I'm also showing you the wrong brands, then not only do I not make any money, but I also look stupid. And I like to try to like limit that as much as possible, though that's not always easy for me to do. But knowing those differences between the behind the scenes, that ends up being one of the probably the 2 or 3 most important things is how you can connect with everybody within that franchise system.
So when you say behind the scenes, what is it that you're like? Okay, behind the scenes means something different in a lot of different categories. What is that you're looking to know?
No, good question. And I think your question to me was how much time do we spend? And I think it's an evolving thing of knowing the brands, or even we were at a conference recently and there was somebody I knew well at another brand, and all of a sudden she's went from franchise A to franchise B, and
Which
I'm like,
happens.
Right. I'm like, oh, okay. Like I know you, I trust you. You're going someplace good. It kind of brought some new attention onto this brand, right? And so, but it could be, what's the size of the franchise?
Okay, like how many units or owners?
Correct. How long they've been around?
Okay.
Are they brand new? Some people don't have a risk tolerance for that. There are ones where we've got big parent companies and there's multiple brands. So even just there's a franchise that you and I know, they do their Meet the Team Day, which is like the last step in the process, usually at a corporate headquarters. They do it on the ranch of the CEO at his like big ranch in Idaho, right? And you're literally coming into their home with a family, right? That's a different environment than maybe some big corporate, stuffy location. And again, not a right or wrong, but you finding where you're most comfortable is hugely important.
So how does that play into, like, if knowing that they do this big family thing, is that something you take into consideration when you're introducing franchises to a candidate?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And so that doesn't mean everything's got to be, like, you seem like a family-focused, calmer person, let's do that. No, it's still, I love the contrast of, here's another brand that is massive, or a big parent company. In fact, our guest next week is going to be a franchise owner from one like that. And I'm quite sure he's going to talk about how he liked the security blanket of the size.
Got it.
The next person may look at the exact same franchise with that big, huge parent company and go, no, that's too big for me. You don't really know. Those are things you can't know until you explore both sides.
So in some aspects, when you're dealing with a client, it's kind of like, where do they want to be in the future, as my guess, right? Like, if I want to be what we call an empire builder, I want to have more territories. I want to have the opportunity to diversify in other brands.
And some franchises are more open to that. Others are not. And again, it's either way is not right or wrong inherently. It's what's going to be best for you. And those are also things most people don't really know because they've never gotten into this. So for us...
Or they don't know the questions to ask.
Right? Like, oh, you want painting? Good, here's 3 painting franchises. Well, that's incredibly lazy to be able to do on our end. And it's not you doing any good. Well, one, let's understand why that might be a good fit. But let's also show you a couple other things that, based on all the things you want to get up and do every day, should really look at this one and this one also.
Okay.
So those are kind of some of the things. Let's come back. Let's take a break right here and kind of wrap this up on the other side as well.
Okay.
So we will be back with more of this on the Franchising 360 show right after this. All right, welcome back to the Franchising 360 show. Tim Parmeter, Danielle Wright. Danielle, one of the things when people are looking at a franchise and maybe they are using a franchise coach consultant,
Yes.
Do you see that change, even like the time it takes for people to get through the process?
Yeah, time is relative, right? But from an education standpoint, if you as a consumer said, hey, I want to look at your franchise, our process is going to take 6 to 8 weeks. Let's tack on some extra weeks because
Right.
it's not only am I telling you what it takes to be an owner, how much is it going to cost for you to be an owner? When are you going to start making some money on this thing?
Right.
What do you need to hire? Like all the parameters of running a business. I'm also having to educate you to franchising in general.
Right.
Like how this is not you just going out and starting a business. What are the value adds? And then kind of like where are some of the bodies that are buried? Because like we were talking on break, there's the consumer experience you have and you're just going to curtail that into that's what it's going to be like to be an owner.
Right.
So the process takes a little bit longer if they're not working. And I'm sure the timeline takes the same with the consultant, except you guys are kind of gearing them up.
We're eliminating the misses, right? Like you go on Google, and I don't want to say anybody can't do search on their own and find the
As
best
they should,
franchise,
right? Like, yeah.
You can, but there's going to be a lot of, I reached out to that brand and I'm not financially qualified. I'm not a good fit.
Or
They're not available.
they reach out to the brand and they hear nothing, which
Right.
is weird to me. If I take an organic lead on the franchisor side, and organic means they didn't come through a consultant. They
Yeah.
found me because they wanted to own my brand, and I'm not calling you. Like,
Right. A little crazy.
Red flags.
When we introduce people to franchises, I always tell people, oh, it'll be maybe like 24 hours or so, but it's probably 24 minutes and
Yes.
like it's reached out too fast. But the last thing I want to kind of share is that when people look at do look at anything on their own, or even when they come to us, what they think they want at the beginning is rarely anywhere in the ballpark of what it ends up being. And so we have to kind of have an education mind on, I want to learn, I want to be open to learning, and just as hard as it is to envision, what may be the best franchise for you to own is something you've never even heard of when you start that process. And that's a reach for some people.
but that's kind of why we started this episode, was just more of why you should probably use a consultant, why you should work with someone to go in that sidecar with you, because they help educate you to franchising in general,
Right.
because it's not just opening your own business, and they have the ability to kind of help guide you down the things that you didn't realize you wanted. Like, hey, I had a great dog experience, but hey, I
Right.
really like this instead because I don't really want to deal with people, I'd rather deal with this. So
Correct.
it's kind of just educating us to who they are.
Exactly. And when you're, I guess, ready to be educated on this, and
We
and
use
kind
that
of
word a lot.
have an open mind to it. Again, our team, myself, Danielle, we've got 10 other coaches, 7 other support staff here to help. Francoach.net is where you're always going to find us. Obviously, we're here every Friday, 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on Biz TV for the TV show, the Franchising 101 podcast.
Yep.
I think I'm forgetting something.
There's a book.
Oh, there's a book, Becoming a Franchise Owner, and our YouTube channel. That was always forget the book,
Yeah.
and the YouTube channel.
Worked
But
really hard on that.
yes, I used every single word I know for that one. But that's Danielle Wright. I am Tim Parmeter. As always, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and we look forward to seeing you next week on the Franchising 360 show.